you very much for staying. Welcome back. Now, as Ghana's economic growth rate for 2017 hit an unprecedented 8.5% as compared with 3.7% in 2016, there have been varied opinions on whether the increased rate is reflecting the current day-to-day standard of living for Ghanaians. There's also expectation that the high growth rates for the economy will generate more jobs. Joy Business hit the streets and engaged a section of the public on this issue. Charles Aiti reports.
Joy Business got in touch with a university graduate who has recently been employed, Desmond Bresbani. The GDP growth, according to him, he's yet to feel the impact on his personal finances. He tells Joy Business his expenditure has shot up significantly since 2017.
The system is such that you do all the things and you will not even have any reserve for fun. And there are some pressures also coming in, family pressures and the rest. You can't even sort yourself to the extent of sorting any family member. So you see yourself being, quote-unquote, selfish in your corner. And that.
We also engaged Nafisa, a 21-year-old SHS graduate who also says she's now unable to make enough savings to further her tertiary education. Her perspective of the economy is that of a duck.
Let's say in the morning, just for breakfast to like 7 cedis or something, because you like breakfast 7 cedis. But then now, even the money I'm getting from the work I'm doing is not enough. And it's like I'm taking care of myself, so I'll have to manage everything. It's not even up to 7, even the 5 cities is not even up to just for breakfast. So
the narrative was no different from Abdullah Al-Hassan, who sells second-hand shoes for a living. He tells Joy Business he currently lives on a very lean budget just to keep his business afloat.
If you know come out 10 cities, you want chop where your stomach will make food. If you know come out 10 cities, you can fix 5 cities. You can. Well, let's see the chop the 5 cities, you can do the economic. Just 5 cities go reach you. Let's come out 10 cities. If you chop better. And everything hard.
On his part, Kofi Adu Ajekum, a pharmaceutical industry player, is lauding government for its intervention for the sector. He's upbeat it will soon reflect in prices of medicines.
The fact still remains that the government is doing well for the pharmaceutical industry, and that again, there's a lot that the government can also do. With respect to high utility costs, I think it is true because it's also affecting all of us. If you look at electricity, telephone, water, all those aspects about our business, it's high. Recently, we have realized that the NPP government, through His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, did something which is also very, very laudable in reducing electricity tariffs.
Concerns by these Ghanaians, it is very clear that despite the GDP growth, it is very clear that the marginal gains in the economic outlook is just still not reflective in their pockets. I'm Charles Aita reporting for Joy Business.
Meanwhile, government is attributing the record economic growth rate for last year to prudent management of resources and investments in critical sectors of the country. This follows the 8.5% economic growth recorded in 2017. The following report highlights measures government is instituting to sustain this growth and create the required jobs.
Figures from the Statistical Service also showed some strong growth in sectors that had not been doing well in the past, like agric, manufacturing and construction, picking up strong last year. Speaking to Joy Business from Japan as part of government's team on the Non-Deal Roadshow, Deputy Minister of Information Kojo Ponkuma says targeted investments in some sectors also resulted in the strong result.
You notice that in many other areas you are also seeing higher growth. So as government continues to invest more money in these real sectors, you begin to see their growth pick up higher than previous years. And
Kojo Ponkuma has also been talking about what has been done to sustain this growth and create more jobs.
We have to continuously use the resources to invest in ventures that create jobs. While you are creating what we call this enabling environment, you now need to invest government expenditure into things like agriculture, things like industry stimulating programs that are the ones that really create jobs and sustainable jobs.
For some analysts, the last GDP figures have shown that we have been able to grow the non-oil sectors of the oil economy, a development that will deal with the concerns of jobless growth.
Now away from economic growth, and issuance of the national ID card and the mobile interoperability is now set to fully take off in the coming months. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia disclosed this during an interaction with some businesses and Ghanaians at the technology hub in the USA, Silicon Valley. The national ID card is expected to have features that would consolidate other national ID cards like driver's licenses. Now, this is expected to improve tax collections and reduce cost of credit, while the interoperability would integrate mobile money wallets with bank accounts, allowing easy movement of cash across all networks. According to the Vice President, all these projects are geared towards total financial inclusion in the country.
We have continued trying to change this country. One of the areas that we have really embarked on and understood, and that is one of the reasons why we have come to Silicon Valley, is to understand that we need to put some systems in place in the country, and to understand that if we are going to go beyond aid, then you need to leverage on technology. That the countries that have leveraged technology, have mastered technology, are the countries that have reduced poverty, the countries that have grown. We know from economics that human capital technology is the key, right? So we've also therefore started putting in place some fundamental, policies for our economy. This is part of the architecture that we are putting together to leverage technology for development, the digitized economy. And so we are really counting a lot on our IT industry to help us. When we go back to Ghana, we're going to have a conference and then try to build a digital roadmap for the country because there's so much that we are going to be able to do in education, in healthcare, in agriculture by leveraging technology. There's a lot going on in Ghana right now. We need your support. We are not going to be able to do it all alone. The support of the diaspora is very, very important. And we are going to count on it. We came to Silicon Valley to be able to tap in what is at the frontiers of technology.
Let's now turn our attention to the oil and gas sector, and Tullow Oil has indicated plans to end its routine maintenance shutdowns on the Jubilee oil field by the end of the year. New managing director of the company, Kwekwa Wotri, disclosed this to Joy Business at a media interaction a while ago. He later spoke with George Wiafe in an interview.
Energy has been an area of great interest to me and has been really a big part of my professional career. Most people don't know I actually ran a small oil and gas exploration company offshore, not a Ghanaian company, for a number of years before I even came back to Ghana and ran the VRA. So oil and gas is something that I'm actually somewhat familiar with. In terms of the specific challenge, I would see companies like Tullow. I would mention them in the same breath as an Ashanti Goldfields, perhaps, where I worked, or even a VRA, at the forefront of the country's economy. The issues are, when you start by, they're both or all of them are commodity producers. The issues are very familiar in terms of cost competitiveness, capital intensive, long lead time, but also the impact on the Ghanaian economy, taxes, royalties, capacity building, things of that sort. So basically I was coming into a company and an industry with very familiar themes to me. And really, in terms of what we can contribute as Ghanaians, how do we embark on this journey in a way that maximizes and benefits us the most as a country? Clearly, I'll be working for a publicly listed UK company, but in terms of what is left, the legacy and the impact, it's left here. It's left here in terms of people, in terms of systems, in terms of companies and services, and a whole ecosystem of people that are left here. So it was really an opportunity to be part of a pretty exciting journey in a pioneer industry.
So is it more of contributing your quota to this industry that is seen as an exciting one, or the fact that let me bring my expertise to bear on this area that people don't know the other side of Mr. Wachi in terms of your expertise and contribution to oil exploration?
I would never pretend I'm an oil explorer. I think it's more the expertise that I've built up over 25 years working with companies as big as this in terms of the issues that they deal with its people, with its managing the business, and with the government.
So it was more of the expertise rather, or more of like being part of history in terms of this whole oil exploration?
George, I would say it's both. I have an opportunity to bring my expertise. If you can't add value, frankly, you shouldn't even start the conversation. But it was also an opportunity for me to be part of an exciting new industry.
Let's look at your turnaround strategy. It might be coming at a time when interesting things are happening in the sector. What's clearly, in a sentence or in two sentences, the vision for this business that you are now part of and part of the process of making history?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, the last 10 years has been focused on building projects. Jubilee and 10. We spent a lot of money, $10 billion, $12 billion. But now it's okay. 10 years is nothing in the life of a company, even a country. So it's very much about what is the long-term future for Tullow, okay? And what does that mean? So really, as I mentioned earlier, it's very much about finding sustainability and competitiveness and growth. Those three things.
Away from oil and gas, and the Pharmaceutical Chamber of Ghana says it hopes to increase local capacity for drug manufacturing from 30 to 60% as a result of current government interventions for the sector. Local pharmaceutical companies, according to the Ministry of Economics in the Netherlands, produce drugs which provide a market for over 300 million people on the African continent and is a leader in the region. Ahead of Joy Business's Health and Wellness Trade Show by Joy Business, we threw a spotlight on the pharmaceutical industry and how government's policies are helping to shape up the industry.
In 2017, government removed the 17.5 VAT on imported materials for the pharmaceutical industry to improve their market share. Some other medical imports, according to the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, even got a zero tax coupled with a special dispensation for local tendering. This, the Pharmaceutical Chamber says, will go a long way to improve drug manufacturing in Ghana. All mosquito nets coming into the country are also tax-free. There are also exemptions on gifts of a charitable nature imported by NGOs in the health sector. The Ministry of Economics of Netherlands has projected the Ghanaian drug manufacturers could reach some 300 million people on the continent with their quality drugs. However, locally manufacturers say only 30% of the Ghanaian population is currently served. So we asked the Chamber of Pharmacy how these developments in the industry is affecting manufacturing.
So if local manufacturers have 49 solid products, Me Too products that everybody uses in everyday lives.
So you don't import those products?
You cannot import those products at all. That's another fantastic boost to local manufacturing in this country. Apart from that, a special concession was given to local manufacturers to tie their knots with the Chamber of Pharmacy to ensure that products that can be manufactured locally are taxed. And that is why you see the MPP government came out with this policy that they are going to exempt VAT on selected medicines and not on all medicines. All those products that the local manufacturers had capacity to manufacture, their imported counterparts were taxed.
While some people believe that local manufacturers of pharmaceutical products do not meet international standards, the Pharmaceutical Chamber thinks otherwise.
The Food and Drugs Authority is very strong as a regulator in the pharmaceutical industry, to the extent that you cannot say that things that are locally manufactured are not good. You can't say that, because the rigorous nature they subject imported medicines to, they subject local counterparts through the same mechanism. and because of which locally produced medicines are very good.
Before drugs are imported in Ghana, they must be registered, have a shelf life of a minimum of 18 months, and all labeling must be in English. The drugs imported must be registered with the Foods and Drugs Authority.
Away from that, some cashew farmers in the Upper West, Northern and Bonahafo regions have expressed satisfaction with the mass cashew spraying exercise. The Cashew Industry Association of Ghana, with support from the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, instituted the exercise last year. They shared these thoughts at a stakeholders meeting at Wenchi in the Bonahafo region. Nesta Kafui-Ajoma reports.
According to the farmers, government's target of increasing cashew yield by 30% will definitely be achieved as a result of the positive results being recorded on the farms that have already been sprayed. They are therefore calling for extension of the cashew spraying exercise to cover every cashew farming community.
At our end, at WA, it was successfully done with some farmers that we are working with. I think they were complaining about that insects that being stink on the end part of the fruiting part, make it dry. So when we spray, now we have experienced a lot of flowers that are coming up to form the fruit. I want to recommend that at least the spray should be done 3 times in a year. That would have helped us so much.
Executive Secretary of Cashew Industry Association of Ghana, Aaron Echia, spoke about progress made so far after the 10-year cashew development plan was launched by President Nana Akufo-Addo in February.
We already have 14 registered planting material producers. They are nursery operators. We are expecting about 313,000 from them. In fact, the target was about 1 million, but the resources keep coming. So as and when they come, we increase the number that we want to undertake. In fact, the nursery operators have been given funds. We have given them the first 2 tranches. They are left with the last tranche. And at a later time, we will let you know where they have reached. In fact, as of now, they are grafting. Most of them have a lot of seedlings which are ready, but we are not going to release the planting materials now, because the tendency is that when you give them out to people, you are going to plant. And if you plant, you lose them. So our target for the release of the planting materials will be at the end of May. So we'll start releasing them at the end of May through June up to July, so that farmers will get all these things. So we have started the 10-year cashew development plan already, and we are getting very good responses from some government agencies who have agreed to fund the program.
Meanwhile, National President of Cashew Farmers Association, Nana Edu Bwamponsem V, asks why the Wenchi Agricultural Station does not want their nursery operators to cut scions from the station's scion bank.
What I have to say is Wenchi Agric Station and then Bole Cocoa Research Institute is a public institution that belongs to Ministry of Agric. So if the government has launched a 10-year development project telling us to plant proper seedlings, these is the very 2 places that we can get proper scions for the grafters. So it's a question that we are asking the Ministry of Agric. Well, as a public institution, why are we denying the nursery operators not to cut the scions for grafting? So it's a question we are asking the Minister of Agric, especially the Agric Directorate, why they are denying us, because we need proper science so that we can get a better yield in the near future. So they should answer us. And then we also tell the nursery operators where to get a proper science, because it's a public institution. Nobody has to be denied from a public institution. So this question goes to the Minister of Agric and his directorate, why nursery operators are being denied not to cut the science for grafting.
Nestor Kafui-Ajoma reporting from Wenchi.
Time now to hit the stock market to check out on the stocks doing well on the market and how they've been faring before close of day today. We also take a look at the currencies and their performance. And I've been joined in the studio right here by Bertha Atubiga, stock markets analyst. Bertha, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, which are the stocks doing well so far on the stock market?
Well, the equity market is very bullish now. It's doing very well, and we have some equities that are actually returning more than 200% to investors from January to date. That's the year-to-date change. Okay. We also have some doing more than 100%, and others also doing about 50% to investors. But currently, by close of Friday, if you're looking at the year-to-date returns for these equities, SIC happens to be the highest returning equity on the market. It has a year-to-date change of 290%. And that's quite significant considering the fact that we just ended the first quarter of the year and we're just beginning the second quarter of the year 2018. We also have Societe Generale also going up or returning about 190% to investors. And it's one equity that has been consistent, especially last week. We saw it adding up marginally to its opening prices on daily basis. And Societe Generale is one equity that we expect to continue to show up on value this week on the stock market. We also expect Cowbank to continue to go up. Last week it did very well. It closed the week with about 1 Ghana cedi 60 pesos or more on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And usually Cowbank trades, let's say, about 1 Ghana cedi 20 pesos, 30 pesos, but last week we saw Cowbank do very well, and it also traded quite a number of shares on the market. And we also have some other equities like Cowbank actually is returning 71.30% to investors, but as of Friday. And EcoBank Ghana is also returning about 48.03% to investors.
These are financial equities. What about the non-financial equities? Are they not doing so well on the market?
Well, the non-financial equities are doing well, but the let me say the margin at which the financial equities are actually moving is not as much as we see for the non-financial equities. But we have some equities that are also adding up to investors' capital. For instance, BOPP has been a consistent gainer, but on a slow pace. Last year it was the best equity, but this year we haven't seen it go down like probably people would expect, but we still see it adding up marginally. It's not very significant as we see with some of the financial equities on the market, but it's also adding up to investors' capital. Unilever is also doing very well on the market. It's Farmwork that is recording a year-to-date loss. That means that the price has actually come down comparing it to its year opening price.
Now, we never got to speak on the listing of DigiCat last week. Now, how is this faring and how is it supposed to?
Well, DigiCat was successfully listed last week on the Ghana Alternative Market, and by close of its first trade, the equity shot up by 12.50%, adding a peso to its IPO price. That's 8 pesos to close at 9 pesos on that successful day. And DigiCat is one equity that is actually, I expect a lot from DigiCat on the market, and considering the fact that it has very strong fundamentals, the financials are very strong, and they intend to go into other jurisdictions that's outside Ghana. So investors, those who actually took part in the IPO, should expect the best from DigiCat. And if you were not able to buy because of the time, probably you wanted to invest in it and you didn't get the time to invest, you can do so on the secondary market at any brokerage house.
Let's look at the currencies now and the performance.
Well, the Ghana cedi actually strengthened or appreciated marginally by 0.04% to the dollar to close at 4 Ghana cedis, 4042 pesos. And what is actually, we've seen it being stable on the interbank market, especially to the dollars compared to other currencies. And what is actually moving this is that it's being backed by the FX inflows that we're getting from foreign investors. And we also know that the 7-year bond was expected to be settled today, and that's also bringing some kind of inflows, and that will continue to strengthen the cedi on the interbank market, especially this week. So the cedi is expected to remain stable, especially against the dollar and other currencies on the interbank market. But the year-to-date depreciation of the cedi against the major trading partners on the interbank market, that's the dollar, the pound, and the euro, is 1.49% based on the Gold Coast Cedi Index.
All right, many thanks for your time, Bertha.
Thank you very much.
And that was Bertha Atubiga, research analyst, bringing us up to speed with developments on the stock market today. Now to our interview of the day, and some players in the food and beverage industry are still calling on government to review its position on the implementation of the tax stamp policy, as this could mean extra cost to their businesses. According to the country's sales and marketing manager at Baltic Ghana, Raymond Mensah with TV, there should be an alternative means of enforcing compliance because the tax stamp policy could result in additional costs to the manufacturer, which could go a long way to affect pricing.
The discussion is still ongoing. If you ask me now, even the current applicator we have, I don't believe for some of the speed lines we have can cope. Some exercises have been done in the past, and it's clear that it's not workable. We made some proposal to the government in terms of maybe digital application of the tax stamp. We also have some concern, and that's why the discussion is still ongoing. But for our imported drinks, we think that it should be possible to do something around it.
When it so happens that you have to acquire this facility, does it mean you are going to push the cost to the consumer to bear, or you're going to bear the entire amount it will cost you to acquire this?
Yes, if the government does not listen and insists that we use the tax applicator as is currently proposed, definitely it's going to bring additional cost to us. I mean, we're also in a business to make money for the shareholders, so we need to find ways to survive. And if it means that we have to go up on price, that's what's going to be. Otherwise, they have to meet us halfway. We agree on the amicable way forward for the application of tax stamp.
To wrap up the show this evening, many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Boachi. If you do join the team, same time tomorrow for another interesting edition of Business Live. Have a good evening.